Welcome to the stage of history. I am your illustrious host, Kevin Uncanny Anytime. Welcome back, y'all. It's Mindset Matters Monday. Very interesting. I'm recording in the car. I adjusted my schedule. I went off of my normal schedule because there has been a intuitive pull to see what's going on with these different things that are calling out to me, right? And so I'm adapting to the situation and doing the best I can to still fulfill what I set out to fulfill, right? We'll always have to be very adaptive in our situations depending on what we're trying to do. And so with me looking to continue to build Mindset Matters because it's incredibly important to me as I'm going through that journey, I will be giving you guys little updates like this, where I had an impromptu meeting and I am going to pray about it. I'm going to think about what's going on and ask God if He's leading me in the right direction, right? That's incredibly important. I believe that you should do that each time you go into something new. You want to make sure that you're doing something that is going to take you to where you're trying to go, right? And so today is kind of in the same line of thought with that is what I was going to mention as far as the topic for today is mental kung fu, right? Mental kung fu is, there's so many different avenues to it. There's so many different techniques, right? Like you could say fighting styles, okay? And one of them is resistance, resisting temptation, resisting eating something that you shouldn't be eating, resisting different negative mindsets and making sure that you're not allowing that to enter into your mental faculties. There's a lot of different resistance things, right? Resisting pornography, resisting these things, right? That's an incredibly important thing to practice. That's a part of your mindset. It's a part of what you must do to stretch your brain into a different realm so that you are able to make very clear and concise decisions. There's also the discipline, right? The discipline of writing in your journal every day or waking up at a particular time frame or saying your I am affirmations to yourself or remembering to pray, remembering to play your subconscious mind programming at night. That is another form of mental kung fu that you have to really, really, really practice. It's not going to be perfect, but you have to get really good at it. You got to keep it in the forefront of your mind. You got to figure out different ways to make it better for yourself. An accountability calendar, something that gives you a measure of reward for what you're doing so that you can physically see it as well. You got to see the progress. You got to see how many days you're doing it. How many times is this actually being executed? How many times am I actually on point, right? And then you got the other one, which is I forgot what the last one was. The last one is, it'll come to me. But what we need to do is work on these disciplines, right? Work on this mental kung fu, these different fighting styles every single day. Every single day. It will not stop. It's not going to ever stop, y'all. And if you get in your head, you get the idea that, one day I won't have to do this, or even if you wake up in the morning, which I have sometimes, wake up and be like, no, I'm good. That's a false sense of security, and it's a trap. It's your own trap that you set before yourself. We set traps for ourselves all the time. and we got to fight against it. Okay. Yeah, the last one I was gonna say is being positive. Being positive, literally shining that light, rising and shining every day, right? Being positive, putting out that positive energy, because that's what you want to return to you. That's the energy output you're trying to put out, so that you don't receive the tremendous amount of negative energy that's already available to everybody in this world, right? You have to push out the positivity to get a measure of that back, because whatever you put out is what you're going to get back. That's the law. That's the law I've always mentioned, that is a universal law. Cause and effect, karma, whatever, however you want to look at it, that's what it is. And so as we're putting out this energy, we want to practice doing it. So that means you have to practice doing it when you don't feel like doing it. You got to be positive when you don't feel like being positive. Those are the tests. That's the time when you really gonna be tested. That's the time where it's really gonna count. You know, Muhammad Ali used to say he didn't count his sit-ups or his reps until it started hurting. And that's because that's when it really counts. That's when it's really going to build the change. That's when you're really gonna see progress, is when you recognize, oh, wait a minute, I'm in a state of being where I do not want to be here, or I do not want to go through this, or this is very abrupt put into my situation. And you have to perform. You got to perform in that time frame, in that state of being, right then and there. That's when you freeze time. That's when you do the Neo. The bullets are coming at you, and you stop everything coming at you, and you say, no, this is what I'm going to do. It's like you are running autonomously, you're running through subconscious, and then boom, you come hyper conscious. You get that hyper awareness of realizing, wait a minute, this is that moment. This is that moment where I can actually change things. This is that moment where I can display my practice. This is that moment where I can put to work what I've been learning. It's super, super, super important, y'all. Super important to tap in those moments. Don't give in to the knee-jerk body feeling of, nope, this is how we want to respond. We want to yell back. Let's yell back. No, you got to freeze it and be like, okay, I know how I feel right now. I know how I'm feeling right now. And I know that this person doesn't probably even deserve kindness, but you got to flip it around. You got to figure out, what am I going to do right now based off of all of the history, all of the data you have. You have all the information inside of you. You know what the outcomes will be. But as far as if you're going to go back into a subconscious program that you are trying to eradicate, if you do that, you're solidifying and hardwiring the same programming. You got to change it. You got to go in and literally change it. And be like, no, it's like changing the future. It's like changing the past. It's like you're going into this dimension of time travel. And when you interject into that timeline of information, of things happening, and you say, wait, nope, I'm going to do something different this time. And then I'm going to consistently try my utmost to be aware that these situations will arise. And when they do arise, this is how I'm going to think. Now, to remind yourself of those things, you're going to need a few tools. You're going to need to write these things down. You're going to need to write it somewhere to where it's visible, so that you remind yourself, not only in your own head, but also somewhere where you can see it. You can visibly see it. Just like the accountability calendar. What's happening? Am I doing a good job every day? Am I really progressing? How do I visibly see that? The X's on my calendar. The X's on my calendar show me how many days I've been resistant to temptation. I look at the days and I'm like, okay, cool. It's been a week. It's been 2 weeks. That's what's up. Give myself a little pat on the back. And mentally feel the physical representation of what's been going on, because there's so much going on that we can think so many different things that we won't know if we're progressing or not. We get lost. And I'm only speaking from experience. I'm only speaking what I'm going through. And so the encouragement is to Strengthen the mental kung fu, to continue to strengthen the mental kung fu. I've been doing a lot of work on myself in the last 6 years, and it's still difficult. It's still difficult. Has it been super extra consistent to where it's like it's been 5 years straight, 365 times 5? No, but I am better than I was 5 years ago. 1000%. I have higher awareness than I did 5 years ago. 1000%. And that's going to show its own difficulties to you. That's going to show its own new challenges, because as you level up, the game gets difficult. You don't just get new abilities and new power-ups so that you can just run through the rest of the game and on easy. It's like, no, the levels get harder, the bosses get harder, the challenges get more thought-provoking. And you gotta just dive into the mental kung fu, the resistance, the positivity. Those things will help you like never before if you continue to practice it, though. You gotta continue to practice it. That's the only way it's really gonna work, is continuously going over it over and over and over again. And yes, sometimes you gotta learn the same silly thing over and over and over again until you finally get fed up and you learn and you're like, oh, okay, no more. I don't want to go through that loop again. Everybody has a different revolution. Okay, you might have to go through the thing 20 revolutions, right? Going over the loop over and over and over again. That's okay. But in another area, you might only have to, hey, 3 times I was done. Okay, 1 time I was like, nope, I'm good on that. Right? And that's in different things. And it has nothing to do with nobody else. It's you personally, what you're set up with, what your abilities are. That's why it's so important to really dive into who you are. You got to really dive into you and know what you're capable of, know what your weaknesses are, know what your strengths are, and really hone in on you, on what you can do, what you can provide, where you are trying to go. It's incredibly important, y'all. The practice, the mental kung fu, the understanding of what your skill sets actually really are is incredibly important. And that's part of the discipline of writing it down. Write it down, figure out, what am I doing? You got to really, if you haven't done this, I'm telling you, stop listening to this right now and literally be like, okay, what am I good at? Write it down, man. You got to write it down, because if you really don't know it, you're still going to be in this state of confusion, this state of lostness, this state of what is happening? Why am I going in this direction? Where are we going? What are we doing? And I'm only saying that because I'm like, I know what mine are, right? But I got to go back into, okay, what does this mean, Kev? What does this really mean, dude? How does that help people? What you're saying, what you're doing, how is it really helping people? I got asked that question today. Am I really helping people, or am I thinking that I'm helping people? And I'm like, wow. I'm like, well, there are people that reached out to me and said, yo, you helped me, man. And I'm like, okay. But why did it shake me? Why did the question shake me just a little bit? Like, ooh, am I helping people, or am I really helping people? Did I know that, or did I think that? I keep saying, don't think you are, know you are. And it's like, I felt like by my response, I just thought it. I just been thinking this. I really don't know. And it's like, but I have visible evidence. I have messages. I have the things that people have said to me besides, but this has only been in online form. Well, no, it hasn't only been in online form. There has been some physical representations of like, hey, you helped me out. And it's like, okay, now I understand a measure of myself a little bit more, of what I'm doing and what I'm trying to provide and who I am and what I stand for. But again, I got tested again as far as what I stood for. And for me, it was a measure of responding, because I didn't really go for what was being said. I just didn't respond to it, because in a lot of cases, I'm just like, you can say whatever you want. The key for me, the way I learn, the way I observe is it impactful metaphorically, even if it isn't true? Is it impactful? Can I use that information and flip it around and be like, yo, this is good information. The way that I'm gonna use this going forward is to push me forward, right? If it's fantasy, right? Which is what I've mentioned in a lot of different things, the movies and stuff like that. They will show you what you're capable of. You may identify with a couple of the superheroes out there. You might identify with the Hulk. You might identify with Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel. You might identify with Tony Stark and the way that he carries himself and his super ability and his intellect. You might identify with Black Widow and be like, yo, I'm a secret agent out here. I don't really say too much. This is how I operate. It's up to you to figure that out. And when you figure that out, it's up to you to really use it to your advantage. But again, am I really learning? Am I really learning? Am I really growing? And that was a growth opportunity for me. I really appreciated that. It's like, hey, you didn't speak on what I spoke on when I told you this. That's what I got out of it. It was a little bit of a different conversation, but I got out of it, yo, you didn't speak on this, man. You need to speak on certain things that are true or not true. And I'm like, man, okay, wow, that's different, because I didn't feel the need at the time. I'm just like, whatever, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. I'm just analyzing the information of, is it something that I can use? And I totally forgot about it, actually. What happened is I forgot about it. That's what I'm talking about. That's the mental kung fu. And that's why this came up. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Sorry, I hit pause on the video for a hot second on accident. But yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a whole different level of the game. I need to start standing on just different things, just different topics. Hey, is that true or not? No, what? That sounds like bull. That sounds like nonsense. I don't want to hear that. Don't present that to me. Like, I need to speak out with that. I need to speak out on stuff like that. And that's a totally out of my wheelhouse, because I've just been a major observer. I've just been somebody that's just been sitting back, and I'll listen and watch, and I'll take what I want and I'll leave what I want. And now this next stage, from what I'm being shown by God, is he like, dude, no, man, I just showed you this again in a different form, because I've heard this a few times, but this time it hit me different, because they presented it to me and they didn't have to re-present it. They didn't have to reintroduce it. They reintroduced it like, yo, this is what I told you, and it wasn't really true, and I was trying to see what you stand on. And I'm like, wait, what? Okay, but I didn't believe you. I just didn't say I didn't believe you. And I didn't find the information useful, whether it was a metaphor or not. And so I just dismissed the information, because there's a lot of information coming out of, different places, and where I'm getting all my information from. And I'm just trying to sift through everything and grab what I can get. But again, this has been presented to me a few different times. And so to me, that's God saying, yo, I need you to stand on certain stuff. I need you to speak out to certain people that may be thinking that they know what they're talking about, and they really don't. And I'm like, wow, okay. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much the topic for this, y'all. The mental kung fu. Okay. Really work on the mental kung fu. And as you can see with that thing that I just, expressed to y'all at the very end of this, that's a whole different level to it. That's a whole different level of mental kung fu. Totally outside of my wheelhouse. I'm completely exposed with that. Okay. Completely open and exposed. And there are going to be times where I might speak out and it's the wrong time, or whatever the case may be. It's unfamiliar territory. It's unknown. And so now I have to actively think to speak up on certain things, which is a whole nother mental kung fu, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole nother mental kung fu. So look, I hope that, I really do. I really hope that the things that I come on here and talk about helps you and gives you that perspective of like, oh yeah, I need to work on that too. Or man, I should be writing this stuff down, or whatever the case may be. because I find it incredibly important to bring awareness to these topics. These are mindset topics. These are for your life. This is for your relationships. This is for your job. This is for your business. Everything. It's for all of that. It falls into a foundational category of all of those things. So I really appreciate you guys listening. Whoever decided to listen to this, I really appreciate you. It really, it's out here. It's out here for y'all to listen to and to take what you want and to speak on stuff. If I'm not accurate, I need people to speak on it. All right. And not for me, for you. For you. And since I learned that, and I'm like, man, that's a key element to my foundation, I need to impart that information to people. And so it's like, yeah, think about that, man. Really, really, really think about that. Okay. Again, I'm totally off the rails, impromptu right now. Talking in the car. Brought my microphone though, because I wanted to be prepared. So brought the mic. Might sound a little bit different, but got the mic here. Still gonna be a little clearer than it would be if I was just talking into the phone. But I don't know if that might not even have anything to do with anything. But share this information, y'all, if you want to help somebody else, or if you feel like it helped you, if you feel like it might help somebody else, share it with somebody. I don't want you to share it if it did. It's cool to just help me, but don't do it if you don't think it's gonna help somebody. I get it. I don't do that, so I don't want you to do that. Okay? Like it if you actually liked it. If you ain't really like it, don't like it. I'm dead serious. It's not about that. I'm trying to make impact on people. I'm trying to help people to change. I'm trying to change this world. I'm trying to help you to find your purpose. Mindset matters more than anything else. Helping the world find its purpose. Love you guys, all right? Have a great rest of the Monday. Anytime.